Right, talking about rake walls, what we've got is a 6 metre run, and obviously this height, the back of the building, is shorter than that. The difference is 150 mil between there and there. Yeah. So what we got, we need to work out the length of that. In this case it's not so important because that's only 150 mil. So what you, back to school, the square on the hypotenuse and all that. So we got the square on it of that in millimetres. It's 36 million millimetres. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it all works out in the end. The square of that little bit there, yeah, that was a square. That comes to 22,500 millimetres. Add them together, we get that. And the square root of that is the length of that. Remember all this now? Which in this particular case is only 6,002. So the difference between that dimension there, flat, against that dimension is only 2 millimetres. If this was a steeper rake, let's say it was like 45 degrees, it'd be no good measuring your centres here 40 at 400 mil, 400 mil, 400 mil, because if you're up here and you measure 400 mil, 400 mil, 400 mil, 400 mil, you drew, you know what I mean, 1200 mil up there is not going to be the same as 1200 mil in that direction. You're going to be a bay short by the time you're 3 bays in. So that's why you have to work out that length. Like I say, in this particular case it's 2 mil over the lot. So if I mark these out as centres, I can pretty much mark that out as centres. I mean, really I should share that 2 mil over 6 metres and add that little tiny bit on for each bay. I hope that's not too confusing. Like I say, in this particular case it's negligible. Had it been a steeper pitch, it would have been a more relevant calculation, because it might have been something like 6,050 mil, in which case I'd have had to add a couple of mil on to each of these dimensions here just to rake it out, because all of these upright studs, all these studs are going to be different lengths. We've worked out, there's a calculation for it, but you know, keeping it simple again, all you need to know is it's 150 mil. That one's 150 mil. That one, there's 15 of them. So you basically dividing 150 by 50, which is nice and easy. So all I'm doing is 10 millimetres. That stud, that one's 10 millimetres longer than that. That one's 10 millimetres longer than that. That one's 10 millimetres longer than that, etc., etc., all the way to the end. And then that then should be nice and flat. Right, we need to work out the height of our first stud, but what we need to work out first is how high can I actually go. And the way, because this is built under what's known as permitted development, it's not under building control, and it kind of is because there's still regulations. If you're within a couple of metres, if you're in 2 metres of your boundary, you're restricted to 2.5 metres high. Now what that means is, if your ground is sloping, which mine is, from the back of the garden down to the house, your 2.5 metre allowance is from the highest point of the land. So it's from that part, not this part, down the garden. That can be high. That can be higher. That's 2.5 metres max there. So you're going to work out your stud, first one. Then you've got your slight slope up, which is still all well within the rules, as it were. If you have got 2 metres room, lucky enough to have you've got a garden room 2 metres from your boundary, you can then go up to 4 metres. Right, when we're working out our stud, we need to cut these studs out. We've got work out our full allowance, if you like. So we've got 18 mil of roofing boards, 145 of the roofing timbers, the rafters. We've got 90 mil, we've got a double header plate which is 245, so we've got 90 mil. If we have a 2 metre stud, we've got a sole plate of 45. Still got 18 mil of flooring. We've got 95 mil of framework underneath, and then 75 mil of sort of airflow clearance at the back, which gives us a nice 2441, which is well under the 2.5 metres. I say well under, 51 mil, but you know what I mean. As good as a mile. Happy days. Yeah, baby. What you got? You want a light? Are you sure? Yeah, I think it's gone out, mate. You alright? Okay, it's up to you. Sole plate. One, as we explained earlier, it's 4.8. I need 6 metres, so we've got a 1.2 metre section. So all I'm going to do is just join that, making life easy. The joining timber I'm going to put in is exactly between 2 bays, well 3 bays, yeah, there's one in the middle. So I'll put that in line with this, nail it on, and that's going to be your strapper to keep it together. We'll do that then. What I'm going to try and do now, there's a best way to rack the whole wall, because it might be like that or whatever. It's using a board. I know we've got a slight angle at the top of the wall, The bottom to the sides, the front and the back, are obviously square. So for the square end, I've cut this off now, as you saw, to the top, a slight angle, yeah. So I'll get to the other end, I'll put it on the upright stud, the end stud, the corner, and across the bottom on the sole plate. It's obviously it's out, then I need, it's not this that's out, it's the frame, so I then need to tap the frame. Might be a little bit difficult on my own, but I might go and get Brandon in, but we'll have a go. So what I'm going to do now, it's parallel across the upright on the other end, so I'm going to nail that upright, not nailing the sole plate at all, and then this whole frame has got to be moved over just a touch. When we're all level across the bottom as well, so don't nail the side, obviously it's going to keep moving, so I'll get that permanent and fit this sole plate to it. Right, it's all nice and square. I mean, it's not saying it's all moved over, but as I go I'll straighten each one and make sure we're all nicely in line and all butted up. And it's all completely clad, we'll be square. What we're going to do then is throw it up. What we'll do now, the easiest way to mark where your studs are, just chalk line, especially when you're on your own. So crack on with that and I'll nail in the centres. Okay, it's all sheathed now, so tomorrow, it'll have to be tomorrow because it's a bit late now. I've just realised I haven't bought any house wrap, any breathable felt, so I'll get the breathable tomorrow, get a bit of tie-back on it. Other manufacturers are available. And then I'll see if I can get my huge son to come and lift it up, because he don't want to get up. It's very, very heavy. Right, a couple of things. I've got the wall up. I really would like to have filmed it, but I was so engrossed in the safety of picking up a God knows how many 100 kilos of wall with just me and Brandon, and not rubbing it down our shins and dropping it back on our fingers. I completely forgot to set the camera up. Never mind, there's another 3 that you'll be a party to. That's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I wish I'd done it. Had a bit of rain, as you can see. Probably the plastic's doing its job. Let's see if we can get any of that. End again. I did want to get this in today, but I've went to a garden party. Rich was there as well last night. Drank too much. I've been a bit tired today. Spent more time editing than I have knocking wood, but that side's nearly ready to go up. What I've done differently over there, because you know he told I need to get the square edge of the board to get the racking out of the framework. Well, that's flat obviously. This was these two are the rake walls. This back wall and this front wall are flat, albeit different heights, but the back one obviously is flat. So I can use the top as a square guide, whereas I couldn't with the side ones. So what I wanted to do, what is usually the best thing to do, is when you clad it, when you sheathe it with the OSB, it's best to, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, best to shoot past the flooring. So if you got there's the framework OSB, and you sheet past it, so you've got an overlap. So when you tip it up, this is the bottom of the sole plate. That's your sheathing lying down. As you tip it up, it rolls over the flooring itself and hangs down the side. That's preferable. I couldn't do it on the side because I needed to rack it, I need to get it square, and the top isn't square, whereas I can do that on the back. What I'll have to do on the side is put another piece on and overshoot it when I put the felt on and the cladding. I've levelled the top. If you'll notice, if you can see at the back, I don't know how far away it is, but if you can see at the back, also the sheathing overshoots sideways. As it's lying down, it's shot over the side as well, because when you turn it up, I want to push it in round the back so that the corner of it meets the corner of that sheathing. So it's all nice OSB all the way around. So it's gone lapped over the floor, and it's pushed and lapped over the side as well, over the end stud. That's the only thing that's different with that, really. I'll finish tapping that in maybe tomorrow. It depends on the weather. Depends. I mean, I'm at work tomorrow, so it depends if it's on my body at my age. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, happy days. I should stop saying that. Happy days. Good times. What you saw me do there is just mark where the joists, where the studs are. So what I'll do now is I'll snap a line. So miss with any nails and shoot the floor. I mean, you can actually see where you're going to snap the line, because where the studs are nailed in. But on the other side, I'll tell you about the overhang. I'm going to have to get on my hands and knees and crawl in the dirt to look up there, so that's why. It just makes life a bit easier. Incidentally, I've just done that small cut, that last piece. Now you're awash with boards and money doesn't matter, etc. I've tried to order enough boards so I don't have too many left over, obviously, and I've also tried to have enough as I've got to finish the job. So what I've just done is cut that off. If I'd have cut it off at that height first, it would have kind of wasted half a board, because to use the other half on the front of the building, remember, is 150mm higher, wouldn't have fit. So I've cut it lengthways. Now I've still got half a board to measure and finish as appropriate. Okay. I hope that makes sense. roll over here. Back. Yeah. Walk it to the edge. Little close.
With a lip, yeah.
Then upend it and then slide it that way.
Is that plastic thing in the way?
Yes. Get up here, we've got sliding around the back of there. Shuffle it forward first.
Okay, no, we shoved it off the wood now.
Okay.
That's alright, handhold with it.
Okay, that's alright. You have?
Well, kind of. There's a lip here, isn't it? So then we want to punch his weight on that there.
So I can pick it up.
If you pick it up a little bit, but just not stick your fingers under, yeah, fine.
Exactly. Watch it up, push it off the edge. Just that's beautiful. Okay, just go towards the end a bit more.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the one. Don't walk right first.
The sideways now.
Just hold it while I go on the back.
Yeah.
And I'll push it.
Yeah, I'm holding on to it. You okay?
George, the lance. Right, I'll pull this one. Can you pull this one? That's me. This one off from around. Just pull. Just see what's happening.
Wait a minute. Hold on to it.
Touching at the bottom now.
Looks like it.
Won't go. You see people talking about California corners. This is basically what it is. You've got another stud on the inside. Let me just... Right, if you imagine this one instead of that one is the corner, the end stud. What you've got is you nail another stud to it at the front. Not the back, at the front, which is that one. So that now enables you to put this next wall end stud against it. You've got that, and you've got a board catcher for your plasterboard as well, and you can still get your insulation right at the back, albeit not as thick, but it's all good. Right, that's stood up. We've got a nailed all across the pad, across the sole plate, as you saw, all down the sides. What I will do is probably put a nail plate on the top as well, on the top of the corner where the side meets the back. It's belt and braces really, because the system we've got here I'm going to put across the 3 metre it's going to go where all the roof joists are going to go. But I'm not going right to the end, because then I'm turning 90 degrees to overshoot the back to put a soffit all the way around. So I'll have a same at the front. I'll stop short and then I'll put the joists going 90 degrees out, So I'll have a metre overhang rear, so have a bit of protection from the rain if you're just going to pop out onto the deck. Same at the back. So what I'm saying is that those joists that go 90 degrees to the main joists are going to be tying everything together as well. So it's going to be pretty secure. Next up then is the rake wall for this side, which is a little bit more involved, complicated again. It's a little bit more involved in as much as there's windows, 2 windows in this one, and 2 windows and a door obviously in the front, so they're slightly different. Again, we can't do the overshoot at the back like we've had at the back to go down below, because this is, again, I'm going to have to square this one up when I rack it, when I rack the frame by using the squareness of the OSB balls. I'll have to use the bottom. It's far easier to keep them flush then, to keep it square. Yeah, I'll go into a bit more detail regarding how you do the windows. These are a bit narrow, so again, it's more pertinent what I'm going to tell you with a wider window, because you need the load bearing in the middle. But you'll see. I'll explain it all. So that's pretty much it for number 3. And as always, subscribe, like, thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.